What's going on, y'all? It's Jason Reviews here, back at it again with another video. As you guys can see by the title, basic battle review today, as I will be reviewing NXT versus Dizaster. Went down in the GTX lot card. Did an article, article recap on Let's Talk BattleRap.com. Going over all the entire event, recapping all the battles. So if you want more detail on GTX as a whole and the lot event, go to letstalkbattlerap.com, and we got you there. But just wanted to really do this video, a lot to highlight next. Someone that I feel like is, got pushed so hard and was like so evidently going to be the guy they pushed. I feel like, the expectations came really high, comes with scrutiny, it's where you get the plant talk, right? And then from there, we saw he did crumble under that pressure in the tournament. I think he leaned into it, that he did the I hate twice. I thought even the first time wasn't the craziest. A lot of different things where I didn't feel like he was a bad battler, but I feel like he caved under the pressure a little bit at that time, which a lot of people would if they caught all of that flack, barely at the start of their career. And I think he's really worked on himself, especially in the independent circuits. The Mac Myron win, in my opinion, was like a really good look. And just overall has been better, even though he got kind of like destroyed by Twerk. I thought he did have flashes of good in that, right? And he didn't choke. While I just don't think he was good enough to rise to the occasion, I think that he did about what he could do in the situation. His second was good. And now you get to a situation where he battles Dizaster. So, we're going to do it basic, starting from the first round of the battle, and working our way to the third bar for bar. Without further ado, let's get right into the battle. So, starting was NXT, and like I said, really, this is a big showcase for him. I like his first round a lot. A lot of Dizaster flips early. His propaganda bar was dope. Talking about how he battles where people can't catch him, always covering up the exit, but that's what doctors are for. So early on, always creative. That's what I like about NXT. I feel like there's not a lot of OBC in what he does. It's rare that I feel like he's repeating a concept or giving me extremely dry material. Maybe I don't like the bar, but there is, I like that. He had a pre-gaming bar, you never hear bars about, I haven't heard a pre-gaming bar, It was pretty creative. He did a flip of Dizaster, one of his slogans, where he yells what city he's in. He says, "I'm in LA." Yeah, but somewhere where nobody can hear you at. That was fire. And it is something I want to talk about, though, is why I do like the material. The pre-gaming bar, I really thought was creative. Somewhere nobody can hear you. He is still a little bit over-aggressive with his inflection. That's what always draws the comparison to Twerk, is obviously he makes his voice really, really deep and gritty, for lead-ups. And it's funny because he ends up delivering a bar not so long after. Maybe it's in his second round, which we'll talk about. But he actually doesn't yell the bar. And it's kind of one of his best of the battle. Not that to say that he shouldn't overemphasize some stuff and still use that kind of gritty performance to help him. But if you do it every single bar, it becomes very redundant, becomes very hard on the ears. I just feel like he could use that aggression a little bit more strategically to build up certain punches. Not everything has to be screamed. That's the reality. And even there, that he had drug talk, sawed-off shotgun, looked like an Oculus. I like that. Dizaster in the backyard. I need Dizaster in the backyard as Project X. So overall, NXT just gives you a really solid first round. Outside of, like I said, a little bit of the over-inflection some people aren't going to mess with, the content is there. And as for Diz's first, and something Diz does the whole battle, he just leaned really, really heavy on the jokes. And there's a market for what Diz. First of all, this is a legend that's been in the game a long, long time. He's giving a shot to a guy like NXT. I know that the motivation, not typically is going to be there. We are past prime Dizaster, not in a bad way. Man, just been here so long. Eventually he just gets that. And what he does on an international level, going to other countries, battling in different languages, there's a lot he's brought to the game, the impact, and kind of what he does globally. There is a market for what Diz does. But when you look at things like his first round with the white jokes, the weird Beasley's house jokes with the golden shower bar, a little bit strange. I will say that the multis about NXT having a low rank, kind of angle punching at him, he said, "You're on the app. That's why you keep telling everybody nobody can see. That's why you keep saying nobody can see him." I thought that was a pretty clever bar, but overall it's a lot of jokes. A lot of jokes. And when someone's really punching at you and like really battle rapping at a high level, that's just not going to do it. So for me, I had NXT pretty clear 1-0 going into the second. As for the second round, this is where I think NXT actually does a lot better, taking down the over-inflection and putting in more of a variety of performance, of pace. He starts out with his discontinued bar. Thought that was pretty good. he had a bar, give him the good news or the bad news first. I thought that was decent. I can't remember the entire setup to it, so I'd butcher it. But it was a good news or bad news first bar that was solid. Mattress tag bar talking about trapping. I thought that was really solid too. And then you get into the two haymakers that I really feel like define his round and define what next can be at his peak. First of all, he is the CGI performance haymaker. Where he's talking, breaking that he's doing a really fast-paced multi, but kind of like angling it is about how he always rushes his delivery, and he's like mimicking it, and then he says CGI, and he slows his flow all the way down his performance, and then speeds it up at the end for the punch. Overall, that's kind of like, you do get the aggressive, the multi, right? But you get the slow down of pace, a little still hard, really hard performing on the end punch part of the punch. It doesn't have to be, I feel like, that over the top dramatic, but the concept is there, and a lot of like what is needed to be a good battle rapper is there. I just think when you're able to show performance of some variety and kind of rapping ability, and there's still creativity in the wordplay, you're covering a lot of aspects at once, which is really how you build haymakers up the best. And then after that, Blade go right through Dizaster like the diarrhea and Frank, and he doesn't scream that haymaker. He's very regular, but he performs it out in the air. To me, it's the bar of the battle. Extremely creative haymaker, you know what I'm saying? Extremely good name flip. Just everything about that bar that I love. And like I said, it just goes to show his two best bars of the battle are not the screaming build up, you know what I'm saying? Not that that's necessarily bad. You're going to have a little bit of that. That's naturally your style, but just not every bar. The creativity's there, man. This guy can be a very, very good battle rapper. I think he is a good battle rapper, you know what I'm saying? But just has to take that over inflection down. I think his second round is a great example of that. As for Diz's second, once again, a lot of jokes. I will say he started out saying the next looked like the Wendy's logo. That was pretty funny. I like that. And a lot of multis all the way around. The one that I did like, he had one leading to an end of the Dragon Bar. I really, really like that. Wish it was a little bit more that of like really serious attacking material. But for the most part, once again, a lot of jokes. The Hasbulla bar was pretty decent too. I'd say Diz is probably like his second might be one of the more direct rounds he's got, but it's still a lot of jokes in there. And like I said, one of the other guys giving you PK makers of that nature, really hard to win with like a comedic presence to it. So kind of crazy for some people to hear, but I had next a pretty clear 2-0 going into the last round of the battle. And as for the third round, I don't know. I really like all three of Nexus rounds. I'd say by process of elimination, his third is probably my least favorite. Very multi-heavy round. Not that that's what makes it bad by any means, you know what I'm saying? But it is a multi-heavy round, which leads to not as much of a punch rate or efficient lines. Now, I got a puncher's ear, you know what I'm saying? I don't only listen for punch lines, right? But I do have a puncher's ear, and I do like where there is, consistent attacking, and it doesn't even necessarily just need to be in the form of like a punchline name flip, right? But if you're angling, just a way to consistently land points. And the thing is, when you keep chaining multis back to back for minutes together, not 30 seconds, not even a minute, but minutes, it can be very, very hard on the ears to just keep up and just stay interested and just like over just this like really fast forward version of rap. With all that being said, after angle that next opens up with, talk about Diz kind of being a bad mentor, kind of hiding away from the rest of the West, right? He is this multi leading up to this Sacagawea haymaker, and it's crazy. It's a very good use of multisyllabic rhyming because I feel like he really just takes 10 to 15 seconds maybe to like build up to the punch using the multi, but then still very clearly gets the ending punchline out, what it was building up to. And it's using multis to propel your material rather than like your material just being multis, if that makes any sense. Because like I said, when you do just back-to-back rapping like this, you can lose people. But if you do it kind of like as a flow pocket change up, it's like it becomes then impressive and unique when you do use it. I will say he went on to really do a lot of multis for the rest of the third, which is why I thought after a little while it kind of got to me a little bit, but he still had his dissolve bar I thought was good. He had a flip of Diz's famous freestyle. The gap between us is merely an object of imagery between Diz and DNA. And Next did it and said, but to show you the real difference between us, and that's heart and dignity, I think it was. So a flip of like a really famous Disaster line, you know what I'm saying? Callback. At this point, I think Next already pretty clearly won the battle. So he's getting in kind of like his moments and things like that. And then once again, kind of ends it off with another angle about Diz being a diva of the West. Really more of a character assassination round. around. And as you get into Diz's third, a lot of kind of freestyling around. You can tell he's not as confident in terms of like the memory of his material as the first 2 rounds. A lot of angles about owning your contracts and like owning your footage and kind of giving Next that talk, which is a good little lane for Dizaster. I think when you talk about GTX, how they're pushing for ownership of material and just where he stands in the game in terms of legendary status and business ventures and just he's always pushed for ownership, right? So it's a message pushed by him. Some people are going to be enthralled by the angle. Some people are not. I don't think it was the craziest execution of it. A couple other jokes too. Parallel universe joint where he kind of made fun of Danny and the way he does energy and stuff. It just goes to show, like I said, it feels exhibitional when Diz battles, but it is a good opportunity because Next is, after getting this, in my opinion, 3-0 win. I did have him winning the third clear. It is going to be a very good look for him. And, what can you say? Diz is considered God tier, one of the first to use the phrase, and Next has a clear victory over him in this battle. And that is my review for Next versus Dizaster. Like I said, a lot of this is Next praise just because I feel like he is someone that after all the plant talk, he was written completely off. And I still think he's one of the best out of his UM4 class. I think that he still is a little caught up in that over-inflection, but I think that there's some elements to the creativity of his pen and just some of the haymakers that he lands where I see peaks that I just don't see other guys in that class hitting. Would love to see Next's next plate. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a big top tier, right? You go from Diz, doesn't mean that he's only battling top tiers now, right? You got one good one with Diz, even though I don't know what the difficulty of Diz compared to his name at this point in his career, respectfully, still a legend. And then you have the twerk battles. You got two like big time battles kind of split at 1-1, right, in terms of results. Would love to see like a high quality mid tier. I think Jerry West is kind of on to bigger and better things, but someone around that region I think would be a good matchup for him. Possibly Lou Castro and Next. You guys let me know, what I'm saying, what matchup you think might be good for Next going forward, because I think that there is a guy here that can build up and have a very, very positive year after kind of a slept on under the radar year last year. I think he can really take maybe not a huge leap, but definitely a jump and slowly build up to what I think his max potential is. But I'm having a hard time, pinpointing opponents. Like I said, you guys let me know down in the comments, who do you think Next should battle next? Really big win for him, showing a lot of variety in his skill set. And, I'm excited to see what he does next. But it's been Jay Small Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know once it comes out what you guys think of the battle. And I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.